you guys remember watching Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? You remember how that was like one of the biggest disasters in Lucasfilm's history. I think they brought in 350 million worldwide against a budget of about 500 million, or God knows how much they spent on it. Well, I mean, James Mangold's finally come out and started talking about his reaction to it and the fan reaction to it, and it's not great. He feels that the reason the film failed was because fans just couldn't accept Harrison Ford being old. That was the reason. And I'll quote him here, where he says, "You have a wonderful, brilliant actor who's in his 80s. So I'm making a movie about this guy in his 80s. But his audience, on one other level, doesn't want to confront their hero at that age." And I'm like, I'm good with it. We made the movie. But the question is, how would anything have made the audience happy with that other than having to start over with a new guy? And then here comes the lifelong heroes from my childhood into my life going, we have something for you to work on. It was a joyous experience, but it hurt in the sense that I really love Harrison and I wanted audiences to love him as he was and accept that that's part of what the movie has to say, that things come to an end and that's part of life.
So you have no idea what people's issues with the film is.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, like, people didn't have an issue with him being old. They had an issue with him being supplanted by someone who was just this obnoxious, unlikable, idiotic stand-in for him. They had an issue with the plot making no sense, with the action being CGI heavy, with time travel being involved, with the villains being like one-dimensional cartoon morons. Any one of those things, take your pick. Like, the movie was a disaster from start to finish.
I find it kind of interesting because, yeah, it is like, I don't know, you're ordering a meal for everybody and you're like, we get McDonald's, okay? So, don't be shocked when your food comes in and it's not going to be fantastic. It's McDonald's. And it comes in, it's just a pile of shit. And you're like, well, I had to order McDonald's. You're like, that's not, I get it. We're not really in a great position already, ancient Indiana Jones, but I think Az did a video on this, as many discussions have been had. There's huge potential, and they didn't do shit all with it that was good, and instead they did a shit ton that was bad. I even kind of have a partial jokey PTSD with the opening of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, where they might have dragged him further down than any given hero in all of fiction. He's got like every attribute you would never want. They made him hate his job. They made him lose his girl. They made him lose his son. They made him an alcoholic. They made him basically hate existence. He's suicidal.
Don't slag alcoholics, Mahler.
I mean, the bad kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the kind of shit where it bugs me because I know Mangold's capable of a lot. I've seen plenty of stuff from him that's excellent. And it's even more annoying that Logan has way more respect for an aging hero than this film did. And just to throw all of that at me for Indiana Jones, you'd be like, look how fucking terrible he is. And then by the end of the film, he wants to commit suicide, and that's prevented by her hitting him and dragging him back to reality or whatever. I'd just be like, what did you think was going to happen? Why did you think this story would be something that Indiana Jones fans want to fucking see?
Yeah. Well, I was 7 or 8 when I saw Wrath of Khan on a VHS, and even then I could cope with the idea of this poignant idea of time and how it can affect beloved characters and how it can weigh upon them and how you can explore those themes in a really beautiful way. But if you'd had Savick at the end, knock Captain Kirk out because he's being a silly old sulky fuddy-duddy, I don't think that would have been a good resolution for the film.
No,
I'm just wondering if, because that film went through hell and back for reshoots, right? That's one of those films that was focus tested, infinitely, if memory serves. And I'm just
likely.
So there's actually there's talk here in this article actually from Cosmic Book News about the proposed original ending where a young Indiana Jones would have sacrificed himself to save Helena. It says here, the ending that took place in the 1930s featured a young Indiana Jones sacrificing himself to save Helena, causing the old Indy to fade away because he no longer existed. Helena then picks up the whip, dons the fedora, and becomes the new Indiana Jones. The classic John Williams score then hits. And Mangold actually talks about this. He says, when I came onto this movie, they'd been playing with a bunch of different things, which were basically just reduxes of what had happened in the first movie. just more apparitions and ghosts. And I felt like I was just watching the first movie over again when I envisioned what was in the existing scripts. He said, and I felt like what Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Larry Kasdan had done successfully in the other films was to keep kind of pulling up a rock on a different aspect of history and metaphysics and not just going back to the same thing. In a way, I didn't want to do the kind of, is it a Death Star again?
I don't know. Just like that was when someone says to you, Indiana Jones is erased from history, and a girl picks up his hat and does his legacy for him. Your first thought is, I don't want to see Raiders again. I'd be like, I feel like there's a different problem here. Maybe we should focus.
Yeah. It's rewriting history as well. Like it's kind of like cultural Marxism on Indiana Jones. Yeah, rewrite it, but to suit the feminazis in a way. In some crazy alternate universe, they went with that original script idea, and man, I would have just loved to have seen the reactions. Like, who in their right mind would then embrace Helena as the new Indiana Jones? Who would then say, "Wow, she's wearing his hat and she's got the bullwhip and she's wearing the leather jacket. Cool. I like her as much as I like him now."
Instant non-canon. It was non-canon anyway, but still.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that people who would like that.
Oh, they tried to make her sexy, like she eyes up all the half-naked sailors, and then there's like her former lover who's stalking her down because he's still obsessed with her. That was never quite going to fly.
It's weird because they make her sexual but not sexy, in the sense that she lusts after a lot of guys in the show, and I guess we're supposed to like clap and applaud that, but like she's not sexy at all. And I don't know if that's just the choice of actress or just the way they wrote the character, but like there's nothing to find appealing there in Helena Shaw. Like she's just I don't know how to describe her. She's like a goofy, bumbling Brit who is trying to like put on the facade of being a brave adventurer, and it doesn't hit home. It doesn't work.
No.
Nothing about that film worked. The pacing was dead. You just lurch from one set piece to another with no proper connective tissue to anything.
The hardest of hard threes.
There's no mystery as well. There's no sense of mystery. Like when you got the Raiders of the Lost Ark, you did feel that mystery. You were wondering, okay, what the fuck is this? We know something bad's going to happen here, though. And we never got that with the Dial of Destiny. We never really felt that sense of wonder, but also that weariness about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Heinkel bombers, or a Heinkel bomber, flowing through the sky. There's some kid who's also going to be the pilot. There's the ancient world down below. They're parachuting out. It's slapstick nonsense when it should be the moment where it should be super succinct for that, to just give a glimpse of magic and of the ancient world that would have, been at the very heart of hearts for this character. Instead, they turned it into schlock.
I don't love the idea of time travel anyway in Indiana Jones, and like, it just felt so out of place. It was as out of place as like having space aliens, in the Crystal Skull. Like, it's just, Indiana Jones is meant to be about like earthbound mysteries, and it's usually got a religious aspect to it. Obviously, like we've got like the Ark of the Covenant covers the Jewish aspect. You've got like the Hindu thing from Temple of Doom, and then you've got Christianity with the Last Crusade. I'm sure there's other things that you could have then broadened that out into and explore in other religions. You could have done Islam potentially. Like Hollywood's probably not going to touch that one, but it's all interesting things that you could explore. And instead, they went for space aliens, and then they went for time travel. And I'll never stop laughing at the idea that like when they travel back through time to like ancient Greece or whatnot, the bomber crew's first instinct is to open fire on like, the people below. Like, why? What do you think you're going to accomplish by killing a bunch of people who don't even know what you are?
Well, that's Boyd Holbrook, right? He's just a crazy guy. That's him specifically.
Crazy. So crazy. I like that FBI agent that's like important, and then she isn't, and then they just kill her, and then the plot moves on. Cool.
We're at an age where no one can take the L Like the people from The Acolyte, they just couldn't accept that the show didn't connect with an audience. And even the guy who responsible for the Jaguar commercial came out lambasting all the people who criticized it as being, reactionaries, and no one can take the L anymore.